So, who is the real Agent Argylle? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Argylle. So, yeah, this is a movie I wanted to check out for quite a while. When I first heard about this movie, when I first saw trailers and stuff, I'm like, "Oh, this looks really fascinating." I didn't even realize at first that it was by the same creator or director or whatever as the oh my god, Kingsman. I for some reason wanted to say Watchmen, and I knew that wasn't right. The Kingsman movies. So that's very fascinating in and of itself, because the Kingsmen have a very specific style to the movies, and the trailer for this kind of looked like this shared that style. But I just didn't realize it was by the same person at first. Um, so from what I know about this, there's this writer who is writing a spy novel, and then she finds out that the characters she's writing about are real. That this spy shit's actually happening. And there's all these big names in this movie, a shit ton of big names. Like Henry Cavill's in it, John Cena, Dua Lipa, I believe, and so many others. Sam Jackson. So a huge, star-studded cast. And yeah, it seems to be like this spy writer is thrown into a real life spy thriller. And the big question is, which of these characters is the real Agent Argylle? And I have not been spoiled to anything. Luckily, I don't know what the answer is. But I have heard some people have said that it's obvious, which could mean a number of things, mind you. And to be fair, I don't always see what a lot of people say are obvious. Um, I think I think that's kind of a weak argument anyway. But I'm not going to get into all of that here because that's just going to take up a shit ton of time that I don't really want to take to discuss why that's, not the best argument against the movie anyway, in my opinion. But, so, I'm very interested because the trailer looked interesting. There was a lot of focus on this cat and all. And yeah, it looks like it's fun. And if it's by the same creator and director or whatever of Kingsman, it's like I like the Kingsman movies. Mind you, the Kingsman was not as good as Kingsman 1 or 2, but it was still good. So it's like I'm still expecting this to be good. I still feel like this movie is going to be, even if it's not on the level of the first two movies, I still feel like it's going to be good. I mean, comparing to the first two Kingsman movies. Um, so I have a lot of hope for it. I have a lot of hope for this cast, a lot of great actors. I think they're going to do a great job. And it just seems like it's going to be fun. Also, the movie is over 2 hours long, so hopefully it's just not boring. That would be the worst thing. That would be the worst, the absolute worst scenario if it was just boring. Because a long movie that's boring just doesn't feel worth it. Because then you're just sitting through a slog forever and just not enjoying anything. Even if you don't think it's that well made or that great, if it's at least entertaining enough to keep your attention, that's at least a positive. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see this. By the way, this is a donation reward for Venom. And yeah, I'd say we should just get into this. So, just as a reminder, we do have a lot of other great stuff on this channel. During the week, Monday through Friday, we have a lot of awesome reactions that you can check out. On Mondays, we also do YouTube reactions. Those are usually just donation rewards from viewers and subscribers like you, but still a lot of fun. Maybe not quite the same as all the series reactions we do, but still a good time. We do movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday, just like this one you're watching now. And those tend to be donation rewards for the most part as well, but sometimes I'll sneak something of my own in there that I just want to check out. Sometimes just for fun. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we also do Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. We've had some audio issues lately, but that should be ending, and starting with episode 10 sucks that it waited that long, but that's what happens when you record in bulk. But starting with part 10 of the Spider-Man 2 Let's Play, the audio should be fixed, at least for the vast most part. So we should be good. Everything should be great continuing on. Still enjoying the game nonetheless. Having a lot of fun with it. So all of that being said, though, let us get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction because, yes, we do redirect all the reactions on this channel. I know, you'd rather watch it here than follow a link every time, but hear me out. This is because of YouTube's copyright system. You understand, right? YouTube's copyright system, kinda shitty. Kinda crap. Because of that, I just want to avoid possible strikes or even getting the channel terminated, which even if I cut down the reaction, could very much happen. So instead, I'm just going to redirect it to another site where you can watch the entire thing for free. Yeah, all of you get to see it for free. There's no paywall, no Patreon. You don't even have to sync up your own copy. You just get the full reaction for free every time. And not just for movies, for all of the shows and reactions we do. So I'd say that's a pretty nifty plus. And after you watch the reaction, you can also come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, but then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts. And will not only contain spoilers to the movie, but also just my general thoughts on it. Might be fun to hear like exactly what I thought of certain scenes, of certain aspects of it, certain performances. Yeah, might be a fun time. Plus, sometimes I put a little extra in there just to talk more about stuff coming on the channel and all. But all of that being said, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, having a confusing twist ending is fine, but it can't be too confusing. Because that kind of throws things off in a way where it's like, you're kind of like begging for sequel bait or something. Or it's acting as sequel bait, rather. You're begging for a sequel, and if you don't know how well the movie's actually going to perform, which, by the way, this movie did not perform very well, then you can't really assume it's going to go super well. You can't assume that it's going to, you're going to get a sequel. And, you know, with things kind of left a little bit weird and confusing at the end, it makes it feel, I wouldn't say necessarily incomplete, because it kind of like even shows in the movie, like the book she was writing originally was going to have like this open-ended end and all, this like twist cliffhanger ending, and so it's kind of like doing that kind of thing with this, leaving us off on something, but at the same time, again, you're kind of like just with that expecting there to be a sequel, and it's like you can't just expect that. And if your movie acts like it's just guaranteed, then it could lead into some problems if that's never explained away, if you never get that sequel. The problem with that here is that this is such an actively confusing ending, and it's purposely confusing, because it raises way too many questions. So, at the book launch and everything for her final book and all, dude shows up, it's Henry Cavill. Looks just like the Argylle she always imagined and everything. except long hair and the accent, which is obviously just a disguise. Not a big deal there. But he shows up, and his line is, I'm sure you have some questions for me and all. It's like, okay. So are we implying that she's not Argylle? Or that there's another Argylle? What is the implication here? And that's further kind of confused by the credit scene, in which we see 20 years earlier. By the way, I think I said 20 years later in the reaction. It's 20 years earlier. And so we see that at some point, a young Argylle, a young agent Argylle, I keep almost saying ancient, a young agent Argylle goes to this pub called the Kingsman. And it's like, okay, so this is directly tied to the Kingsman universe. This is part of the same London. These have just been different spy organizations all within the same world. But either way, he goes there and he does the entire thing. It's like, oh, give me a cosmopolitan, hold the control, hold all, yada, 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 just the twist. And the fact that the twist line it was used there was also really confusing, because it's like that was a line very specifically used in regards to the head stomping thing earlier in the film and near the end when, like, you know, she's about to stomp his head when under the brain control and everything. I mean, mind you, it was referring to, like, the dance, the twist. And at the end here, it's referring to, you know, in regards to the drink and everything. But still, if it feels like that was intentional, and it makes no sense, though. Because what would that mean? Because all the evidence shows us that she absolutely was Rachel Kyle. Or Argylle. So it's like, and all the evidence shows us that her memories were what was creating the book. All of this was real. All of these characters and all were real. And were real people that she met. And it's like, so the idea that there's actually someone else named Argylle out there, it's like, okay. Just happens to share the name? Because that's the only thing that could make sense. Is that he just happens to share the name and happens to look exactly the same. But then why would he go to her book launch and, like, say, oh, I bet you have some questions for me, though? It's like, what is that supposed to mean? Because that has to mean more than just shares the same name. And I mean, it's made clear that the character of Argylle at the end, Aubrey Argylle, it's made clear that he's a Kingsman agent. So it's like, what the fuck? It feels like Matthew Vaughn was trying to create, like, this shared universe of sorts. Like, he was trying to, like, connect this with Kingsman and probably do, like, some kind of crossover film in the future, and, like, this was all going to connect. But it kind of feels, like, really confusing, and in a not necessarily a bad way, but not a good way either. Again, a twist, confusing ending can be good, but you have to do it right. If it's too confusing, and if it makes just really no sense with everything else we've seen in the film, like, what are we supposed to believe? And then after that, by the way, there's this shot of, like, Ellie's room or whatever, and it shows, like, coming soon, Argylle, the first novel, the movie. It's like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Is that like an advertisement saying that they're going to be making a movie based off of the fictional story? Or, well, I could say technically it is a real story, because in a marketing ploy leading up to this movie, there was a real book released. I found that out while looking things up. There was a real book released, I think at the beginning of this year, I think in January, as a marketing stunt for this movie. And it was written by Ellie. Like, people had tried to figure out, like, who the ghostwriter was and everything. Some people said J.K. Rowling. Really doubt that for a number of reasons. But some people were like fucking stupidly saying Taylor Swift just because cat. Just because there's a cat and Taylor Swift is a renowned cat lover. That is literally no evidence to go off of. That is such a stupid argument to make. Do you know how many people out there are cat lovers? It's not just fucking Taylor Swift. She's not the only renowned cat lover in Hollywood. That doesn't even make sense. That is not a logical argument you can make at all. But either way, yeah, people like had apparently been debating over who the actual author was. Apparently, it has been revealed. By the way, apparently there were two ghost authors who wrote it together. But yeah, it was a marketing stunt. Just to hype up the movie. Apparently, it is like a full book based off of the book in the movie and everything. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, are they trying to say they're going to make a movie based off the book, the book's events, like the fictional? Well, not fictionalized, but you know what I mean. In the universe of this movie, the fictionalized Argylle that Ellie wrote of, the fictionalized interpretation of it, even if it was based on her real events. So that's confusing too. Like, what is that supposed to mean? And again, this just the stuff with like the Aubrey Argylle character coming up. It's like that just raises even more questions. And if you're not going to be guaranteed to have a sequel, it's not a good way to end that. That being said, I've talked like almost 10 minutes just on the ending so far. Wow, what the fuck? Let's talk about the rest of the movie, because outside of the confusion centering around the ending and everything, this movie was phenomenal. I do not understand the complaints at all. And again, I didn't like see any spoilers or anything, but the complaints I had heard prior to seeing this, like since it had come out and everything, were just like coming down to a lot of the writing and just the fact that the Argylle, who is Argylle, was easy to figure out. Even though the ending kind of throws that up in the air, I don't know. But the point is, and I mentioned this in the reaction. I believe it was in the reaction, not the pre-thoughts. But either way, that was the biggest complaint I saw from people leading up. And again, I didn't see who it was. I just saw people saying like, "Oh, the actual identity of Agent Argylle is super obvious." It's like if you, like a kid could figure it out. It's like, do you not see how that's the point? Like, do you not understand that's the point? Like, yeah, there's all this advertising for the movie saying like who is Agent Argylle and everything, and it was like this kind, the real Agent Argylle, who is it? And people are complaining because it's easy to figure out, but it's like that's intentional, my dudes. It's not supposed to be a big mystery. It's literally revealed halfway through the movie. There's an entire half of the film where you know the answer. It's not supposed to be this big mystery, because it literally tells you pretty much right away. Every bit of like evidence is there, and it's intentional. It's very clearly intentional. All the evidence, all the dialogue that's said, like at that first book reveal and everything, book launch. That's the word I was trying to think of. The things that are being said, especially about like all these other authors have turned out to be spies and everything. It's like, come on. It was very clearly setting up for her to be Argylle right from the beginning. And that was obvious. And it was supposed to be obvious. It's not about the mystery of that. It's about, does she even know she's Argylle? And then you eventually find out, no, she doesn't. She has amnesia. And so you're thinking, okay, why does she have amnesia? The mystery changes. And the questions you're asking change as the movie goes along. And that's intentional. Very clearly intentional. You're not supposed to be asking who is Agent Argylle the entire way through. You're supposed to figure that out right away. That's only the first question you're supposed to ask. That's the question that got you into the movie. After you figure that out, the questions start shifting, and you're supposed to start asking different things. One mystery leads to another. That's, again, very, very clearly the intent. If people didn't get that, I don't know what to say, because that was so blatantly obvious. And as I've said, it's like predictability isn't necessarily a negative anyway. I've never understood people using predictability as this like big negative to hate a movie by, or even just to criticize a movie by. It's never made sense to me. It's like predictability is not inherently bad. The only time predictability is bad is if the intent of the movie, book, game, etc., is trying to make you figure it out throughout the piece of media. But again, that's not what's happening here. You're supposed to figure it out right away. That's intentional. So that when you do get to the point where it's revealed, it's not going to be that far in, because that was never the intent. If that was the big question in the movie, if that was where this was supposed to be going, that wouldn't have been answered until near the end, or at least a lot closer, like at least an hour and a half through. But no, it's answered halfway through, because that's not the point. This was not a mystery movie. Yeah, there are mysteries in it, but again, it hops from one to the next. It's not about sticking with a single question. It's about asking multiple, and those questions changing depending on what point in the story you're at. And again, it's great in its execution, because it lays out all the groundwork to make it like obvious who it is, and to tell you like, now you have to figure out this next stage of the mystery. Okay, you know she's Argylle. What's next? Does she know she's Argylle? Find out she doesn't. It's made very clear she just does not know. Why doesn't she know? It's amnesia. Why does she have amnesia? Again, it's well done in its execution. And yes, the writing can be very corny at times, but in a spy movie like this by Matthew Vaughn, it's like I would be honestly weirded out and concerned if it wasn't corny. Like, if you can watch the Kingsman movies and think they're not corny, you're deluding yourself. The Kingsman movies are super fucking corny. So is Kick-Ass. Matthew Vaughn does corny. That's very intentional. Like, corny and cheesy and ridiculous and over the top is all Matthew Vaughn's style. And yeah, maybe it was a little cornier than Kingsman typically is. Maybe a little cornier than Kick-Ass. But that's not a bad thing, because that's the style it's going for. It's meant to be corny and over top and silly. Now, moving away from that aspect, there were a lot of great performances in this, obviously. Like I mentioned in the pre-thoughts, very star-studded cast. A lot of actors I really enjoy in here. And I am not surprised, but the only weak link for me in all of the acting was John Cena. And I promise you, I'm not just saying this because I have some kind of hate boner for John Cena. I'm not. I genuinely don't believe he can act. He never felt natural in his performance here. He felt like an actor, and he's the only one who felt like an actor portraying a character. None of these other characters felt like that. They felt like a person. Even with all the silliness and corniness and, unrealistic responses to certain things, they still felt like a person, like I was getting lost in their character. But with John Cena's interpretation of, well, who Sam Rockwell was, um, it just felt like John Cena acting, trying to act. And it never felt natural. It never felt like, oh, I believe in this character. I believed in Henry Cavill. I believed in Dua Lipa. I believed in everyone else. It was literally just him. And that goes for both, like, in the world of the book that we saw and in the real world as well. Every other actor did phenomenally. Obvious standouts, Bryce Dallas Howard was great in the lead role. Sam Rockwell did amazing. Bryan Cranston. And Catherine O'Hara, who for some reason I didn't recognize. I mean, maybe that's better than mistaking Sam Rockwell for Paul Rudd at first. Listen, I've seen Paul Rudd wear some crazy shit. The beard and the long hair, it would not have surprised me. And it threw me off. With the beard and long hair, I swear I thought it looked like him. I swear I did. The voice, I don't think sounded entirely like him. That was my hang up. But I thought it looked like him, just wearing a fake beard and long hair. And so I'm thinking, like, that's Paul Rudd, right? So I just went with it. But no, it was Sam Rockwell. Apparently their eyes, which is, I guess, the only part we could really see of him while in the disguise, look similar, I guess? I don't know. I don't know. But again, I just completely missed that was Catherine O'Hara. And it's like, that makes me kind of sad, because I really like her. I really like her as an actress. So it really sucks that I completely missed that was her. Everyone else I obviously recognize. Sam Jackson, Bryan Cranston. It's hard to not recognize them. But yeah, it's like everyone did amazing except Cena. In terms of the action, I thought it was great. Like, I like it when action doesn't take itself too seriously. There's so many action movies, or movies with action in them, that try to take it too seriously, and it feels almost boring in a weird way. Like, even if there's a lot of gunfire and whatnot, it's like, oh, I'm just not interested. It needs to have a certain level of silliness, of fun, of, just entertainment. If you make it just too realistic or too, like, serious, it's just gonna be a downer. But if you add that entertainment to it, it makes it more entertaining, more fun, more exciting, more enjoyable to watch. And between the Kingsman movies and this, it's like, it shows that Matthew Vaughn knows how to do that. His action, whether with gunplay, knife play, just fist fights, he knows how to do that kind of thing. And he does it extremely well. The soundtrack was phenomenal. Great music, but I expect that after the Kingsman movies, so no big surprise there. And I liked how twisty it was. Like, it was constantly taking multiple twists and turns, and that kind of goes in with the writing, having the, like, going from one mystery to the next, to the next, to the next. It's like, the twists and turns help with that. It's like, oh, we're gonna reveal this twist, and we're gonna reveal that twist. Oh, he's the father. Oh, he's not actually the father. Oh, they actually do have a connection. Wait, what? I liked that. I like how it kept going back and forth on the twists. It allowed it to really feel like you never knew what was going to happen. And that's, I think, a good thing. Because it also helps with the predictability of knowing who Agent Argylle is from the beginning. It's well done. It's extremely well done. The ending is really the only thing I have real issue with. Because even like with John Cena, it's like he had a bit part in this, let's be honest. Sam Jackson barely had a role in this, and he had a bigger role than John Cena. But yeah, it's like that I can hand wave off. But the ending is it's a little too confusing for me. I like the cat as well, Alfie, and how he was used. Like the cat being used like to test the fall and everything was great and so insane. It was batshit insane in the best way. And the cat like ending up being the one to take out Bryan Cranston's character, clawing out his eyes and shit. It's like that's metal. like let's be honest, that's metal as fuck. And I started figuring out like right before it happened that was going to happen because I saw like it showed the back, it showed the cat case, and it showed the cat going towards the hole of where the glass was shattered before, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's absolutely happening, isn't it? It was so good. Though the random worker that ended up being, the girl and coming out of nowhere to take out Catherine O'Hara was like a little unexpected. That one caught me off guard. Also, did anyone else when with Catherine O'Hara like mind controlling, brainwashing Ellie, Rachel, whatever you want to call her, with the music box? Did that remind anyone else of Get Out? Jordan Peele movie Get Out, with the teacup and all. It's like that just instantly came to mind, especially since she was a mother figure. Like she was Ellie's pretend mother and everything. And in Get Out, it was the girlfriend's mother who was doing the hypnotism with the teacup. It's like it was very reminiscent of that for me, and in a very good way. I wonder if that was inspired by that to any degree. Um, but yeah, this was like really good, like really good. I don't understand any complaints about it, honestly, any that I've seen. I'm gonna probably check out some reviews and stuff, but I don't get it. I don't see how anyone couldn't love this movie if they love the Kingsman movies and films like that. It's like it's just as good as the Kingsman movies. It absolutely is. The ending confusion aside, that's not that big a deal. That doesn't ruin it enough to take it that far below. Um, but yeah, so this was great, and I didn't even mind the time at all. It's like that never really if I hadn't noticed when it was like fully revealed being halfway through, which I specifically looked at the time to check like when that was revealed. Um, Other than that, I wouldn't have paid attention to the time at all because I was engrossed. I was entirely engrossed in this film. It was so captivating, so well made. Loved it. But that being said, we do have a lot of other great content on this channel for you to check out if you're new and checking out for this movie. Monday through Friday, we have a plethora of great reaction series that we're doing every day of the main week. We also do YouTube reactions on Monday, which are mainly just donation rewards from viewers and subscribers like you. But there's still a lot of fun to get through, and we get to some really interesting things with it. We also do movie reactions just like this every Saturday and Sunday. They're recorded earlier in the week. For example, I'm recording this on Friday, but you're seeing it on Sunday. I record them earlier in the week, upload them on the weekends, just so every day of the week has something going on for it. We're also doing Spider-Man 2 Let's Play on the PS5 every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm actually thinking maybe of increasing it to a third day a week, but I'm not sure on that yet. I'm not sure. I'll be thinking about that. But either way, at least for now, Tuesdays and Thursdays, Spider-Man 2, very excited for more of that. Having an absolute blast with it. Even though we've had some audio issues for the first 9 parts, luckily I've seemed to have gotten it fixed. First time capture cards recording, it's gonna have some issues. It's my first time, and I'll get better. I'll get better, but for now, I think it's understandable. That being said, though, thank you all so much for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this movie. And by the way, if you didn't like it, that's fine. Anyone who didn't like it, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. We don't have to agree. It's a movie, it's subjective. If you didn't like it, that's okay. But I do want to hear your thoughts, and maybe you could explain why. Maybe you could help educate me as to why you maybe didn't like it. Um, it doesn't mean I'm going to like it any less, and I don't expect you to like it anymore. It's all subjective. I'm just sharing my opinion. So that being said, like I said, let me know your thoughts down below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.